Greetings, YouTube. I'm currently reading a book on engineering and design, and one of the things the author touches upon is the idea of learned helplessness. And what he means is this. Say you approach a piece of new technology, one that you've never had any interaction with before. It could be a completely new, like you've never used this type, or just be a new model of something that you have past experience. In either case, you could be approaching this item, this piece of technology, with certain preconceptions or certain things, certain kind of models in your head already ready to go. So you approach it, you try to use it, and it doesn't work for you. Now, if that's the only time this ever happens, you quickly figure out how to use it and you're fine from that point on, you're probably not going to have a problem. But if you have to use this item in the near future and it fails again, or you have other encounters with different pieces of technology, whether physical technology, a flashlight, or software, which is running on something else, another piece of technology, you can find yourself in a position where you have convinced yourself that you are helpless in the face of technology. That you are not good with technology. I've got a news flash for you. It's not you. It's bad design. Because if the technology or the software running on the other technology was well designed, you'd be able to figure it out. If it wasn't blazingly obvious, you'd be able to figure it out. For example, this is a really simple piece of technology. Okay? You pick this up, you see this thing right here. In fact, this glows in the dark. It's squishy. You're going to do that. It's really elementary to figure out how to work this piece of technology, particularly if you've ever used a rubber button of any variety in the past. So you already have in your head the model that will make this work. Now, if you picked it up and there was no indication how to make it work, nothing on it whatsoever, that's a different problem. Now the information is out here in the world, and it's presented you with a stumbling block. But that's what it's done. It's presented you with a stumbling block. It is not you that is stumbling over the piece of technology. But some of us in life have encountered people who have a vested interest in making sure that we are helpless. So it isn't us encountering poor design in a piece of technology or software. It's us encountering someone that wants to make sure that we are helpless. That we learn helplessness. To undermine our self-esteem, to make us dependent upon them or someone else, as a form of passive-aggressive warfare, any number of ways that someone can create an atmosphere of wanting you to be helpless, of not teaching you what you need to know to be able to handle the problems that you encounter in your life, intentionally creating an atmosphere where you will be helpless. Sometimes this kind of thing can simply become in a more passive, less aggressive manner. For example, when I was growing up, I used to watch my mother sew all the time. My mother is incredibly good at sewing. She used to produce her own clothing when I was a kid that it was of the same quality as any professional tailor could put out. She really was talented. Still is. She just doesn't make her own clothing much anymore. And I was daunted by her expertise with a sewing machine. It didn't help also as a small child. I ran my finger through a sewing machine. That isn't something I recommend. But combined with my aversion to the pain produced by this device and the fact that she was such an accomplished master of this device, I convinced myself that I could not use a sewing machine. And this was wrapped up both in the technology and wrapped up in my own way of looking at it, because I was never shown. It would remain an object of mystery. So when I was growing up, little boys didn't sew. Though how little boys became tailors is beyond me, but apparently it was magic. Then I found myself in my 20s needing to sew. And I had access to a sewing machine. And one day I looked at the sewing machine and I'm like, this is a machine. I work with machines every day. There's no machine that can get in my way and prevent me from doing what I want to do. If I want to attack, if I want to actually confront it and figure out how it works. And I did. And I know how to sew. I'm not very good at it, but I've been able to make my own clothing for historical events before. So that was a number of things rolled together that produced that sense of helplessness. But it's sometimes far more overt and far more insidious and ugly in the case of an abuser, when it is in their vested interest to make you helpless. And for me, that was my father. He was an alcoholic, he was incredibly unbalanced, and he used the tactics in his toolbox of both emotional and mental abuse as well as physical. And he wanted to be helpless. He wanted me to be constantly on edge, hypervigilant, anxious all times, and he had an ally in the fact that I have a genetic predisposition to depression, as does he, and as did his father, and on down the line. Now all of them became self-medicated alcoholics. Thankfully, I didn't. But my anxiety created the atmosphere where I was convinced I couldn't help myself. And I struggled with it for a long time. And eventually, I did make some improvements and make myself feel and behave in a more healthy manner. Unfortunately, I lacked the tools to overcome the anxiety that I possessed. Well, I was able to make some improvements. They were small, and they took me a very long time. It wasn't until I finally got my hands on a good quality therapist that I was able to make some really significant improvements. And in fact, this last session I just had, we've decided to spread out. Instead of going to see my therapist every 2 weeks, we're spreading it out to a month. So we're going to see how it goes. So I'm getting to the point where now I am no longer in need of a bi-weekly session. Now I'm having them once a month. And we're going to see how that works out. I have a fair amount of confidence that I'll be okay. Save a little money as well. So my takeaway from this is, if you find yourself feeling helpless, look to the cause. It could be bad design. It could just be happenstance. You were awed by someone's skill and think you can't accomplish what they accomplished. Or someone could have been manipulating you. Someone could have created an atmosphere where you are intentionally helpless so they can control you or prevent you from growing and moving forward away from them. And that's just evil. And if it's that latter category, you aren't helpless. You can get away from that situation. Maybe not now, but you can work towards it. If you're a teenager and stuck at home in a situation, try the best you can to stay alive until you're old enough to get out. If it's really bad, find someone to report it to. But you're not helpless. You can do what you need to do to make it out, to be healthy, to be happy, to be able to help yourself when you need to. You have it in you. I can guarantee you do. You are